Welcome back to our second installment of the series, Let's Explore. Today we're going to be hitting up Ahn'Qiraj, the 40-man version. Now there is a difference. They have a 20-man version from Classic WoW, and there was a 40-man version. The difference being Ahn'Qiraj itself is the 40-man version, and the Ruins of Ahn'Qiraj was the 20-man version. Ahn'Qiraj itself is located in Silithus, which is at the lower western portion, southwest portion of Kalimdor. Easiest way I found to get there is take the portal from Shrine of the Seven Stars or Shrine of the Two Moons if you're Horde, and fly on or port on down to Darnassus from Alliance side, and then just take the flight path down. You can also take the boat from Stranglethorn to Tanaris. I believe that's where it goes, and you can fly over from there. I'm not too familiar with how the Horde would get there. It's been a while since I've played Horde. But also, I suppose if you're a mage, you can teleport to Theramore Isle and fly that way. So there's lots of different ways you can get there. I suppose if you're a Horde, you're mostly in Orgrimmar anyways, so it doesn't really matter on the same continent. Ahn'Qiraj is located in the southern portion of Silithus, and we're going to make our way over there. Now, Ahn'Qiraj itself was one of the original 40-man raids in Vanilla WoW. There was an interesting attunement for it, not necessarily a quest like you had for Molten Core, but instead what you had is there was actually a server-wide effort that was required to unlock the gates. Actually, you had to acquire a certain amount of cloth and leather and things like that, and then you had enough resources to kind of fund the warfront on Ahn'Qiraj. It was kind of a cool server-wide effort that was really taken or needed to get in, which it was a fun time in WoW. You required, you had a lot of guilds getting in on it. There was a lot of exploiting that went on. Some guilds were holding the gates hostage for accepting certain types of payment to open the gates. It was kind of fun. But then when you opened the gates, you were confronted with, if I'm not mistaken, you actually had a bunch of mobs that came out to fight you, and it was a whole like server-wide event. It was really cool. Just that aspect of the game. You really don't see too much anymore. Now when you get to Ahn'Qiraj, what you're going to see here are the two temples. This over here is what leads to the 20-man version, the easier version. We may go over a small segment on that, really short, sweet, to the point. I've never been too drawn to it. There's not a whole lot of loot in there that's really drawn my eye, except there's one sword in there that looks really cool for an Unholy Death Knight. But we're going to take the right gateway up here, and then the entrance is up here to Ahn'Qiraj. Now, when we first step foot here into Ahn'Qiraj, you're going to notice this place is just absolutely massive. And so actually, what that means is this was the first raid introduced in WoW that allowed you to use mounts because of the sheer size of this place. Which actually leads me to say there's gonna be a little bit of cutting and pasting in this video, just because it would take way too long to go through and just keep this all true to the run itself. It's just too massive. We have the first boss here, the Prophet Scarum. He's got an interesting mechanic where he'll split up, goes up into 3 different pieces, just continue to damage him. If you're going to do this with a couple people, he does have a mind control mechanic that you might want to watch out for. But other than that, pretty straightforward, just AoE burns him down. These here, the Kiraji Lord Insignia, those are what you're going to need to farm rep for this place. They give you, I think, 400 or so rep a pop. And then the keys here, the Greater Scarab Coffer keys, these actually open up chests that you'll find scattered throughout the entire raid that will have other pieces in it that you will need to complete your tier sets. So those are worth picking up if this is your first time here and if you're looking to pick up the items from here. Now, you're going to get to the entrance here, and if you go left real quick, you're going to come and see some of the dragonkin in their mortal forms, and they're going to drop for you or show you your quests that you need. And so the funny thing is you can actually complete these quests more than once. It's very interesting. But you can pick these up and it'll show you what you require, and you'll see all these things drop within Ahn'Qiraj here. Just takes a little bit of a run. You definitely won't get it all first run. You'll take a couple runs to get everything, but it's worth it, especially if you come with friends. But it is very much soloable, as you can see. And then if you talk to him here, the Mortal Champions, you can turn these in, and you get a bunch of rep. So it should be good. And then there's the 3 of them here, and so you get your chest piece, your shoulders, your headpiece, and everything like that. So that's all over here, and where you turn all that in. And Ahn'Qiraj itself is underground, so hopefully nobody's claustrophobic. You can go in here, and then you're just gonna hang a right or hang a left. I'm sorry. And then we're gonna cart through. So as you can see, yeah, this place is just massive. Took people forever to get through here, just until they got their mounts. Now this place, actually, any of the trash mobs in here have a chance to drop any of these Qiraji battle tanks. As you can see, there are 4 of them. The red in particular is my favorite, but they all tend to drop in here, and they are only usable here in Ahn'Qiraj unless you have archaeology and you pick up that one from archaeology, which I hear is super rare to get, but worth it. So these are what you're looking for, the scarabs, and then these idols. As you can see, they are class specific, so you'll have to look for the ones for your class. And these are the scarab coffers that I was telling you about that require the keys. So you use your key, pop them open, and they usually contain a couple bags which have different variations of the scarabs, and then the idols that you're looking for. So I'm not gonna fill my loot, my bags with them, because I've already got them all taken care of, so I don't really need them. So we're gonna go through here to our second bosses, the bug family. There's 3 of them here. One of them will heal the queen, so I usually take her out first just to avoid any complications. Not that there really is any, but just by default. PvP has trained me to kill the healer. Now, the thing is, you got to be careful with this boss, actually, just because if you kill them too quickly, it will actually bug out and they'll reset. Let's see, here's one of the Qiraji battle tanks that drops. No, but if you kill them too fast, actually, it will bug out and reset into where you won't get any of them, actually. So just got to be careful, kind of kill them at a somewhat mellow pace, if that makes any sense. And they themselves also going to drop the scarab key and the insignias as well. And some old enchanting things. Pretty cool. Now the reason I actually pick up all of the epics that drop, obviously I don't use them, want them, need them, because they're all like cloth and leather that have been dropping so far. But it's a nice way to make some extra gold going through here. And so our next boss is going to be back up to kind of the way we came and walk up this corridor. Keep making our way through here. And again, I'll try to keep the map up through here as much as I can, just so you can get an idea of where we're going, especially because I'll probably be cutting and pasting just a lot of this just to keep the length of the video down, or else we'll be here all day and I don't want the video to be that long. Alright, now in here we have our third boss of Ahn'Qiraj, the Battle Guard Sartua, however you say that. I'm not a bug language expert. Again, straightforward boss fight, no mechanics you really need to worry about. She does have her ads, but nothing a little AoE won't take care of. Cool little offhand piece, and then leather belt. And then our next boss is up here and around the corner. Here I believe we have the fourth boss of Ahn'Qiraj. This guy can be a bit of a pain just if you don't have high enough DPS. He will actually kind of port you over to one of the corners of the room here. And what he'll do, he'll encase you in like a web and you can't move. And if you're under geared, some of the mobs that can spawn in his attacks as poison I think he puts on you can get a bit overwhelming. Back when I first started doing these and I was severely under geared, there's a couple deaths that incurred, but now again should be pretty straightforward. I always liked this sword, thought it was kind of fun and just awkward looking, but kind of cool. So now we're going to move on. Now, real quick though, it is worth showing that the fifth boss, or optional boss, the first optional boss in here, is actually kind of cool. The only downside is I've never cleared him on my warrior, simply because you actually require a certain percentage of frost damage to kill him. I don't remember the percentage off the top of my head, but you actually require, it's kind of a cool mechanic in that you freeze him and then he shatters and you can do damage to him and things like that. If I just go in and try to kill him right now, he actually will not die. He'll just sit at like 1 health or whatever, and he just does not die. But he does drop a battle pet, so that kind of adds to the incentive to try to get someone with frost damage to come in and kill him. It tends to sell pretty high on the auction house just for that reason, that you require a little bit of frost damage to get him, and not everybody can do it. But other than that, if you come with like frost damage, let's say a frost DK, a frost mage or something like that, he's pretty easy to kill. Again, nothing too hard. And if you do fall down here on this, it's as simple as just getting back up on this little whatever this thing is and just walking back up here. So obviously this cannot be a full clear just because I do not have the frost damage to clear that mechanic, but he's up here in this little room if that is something you are able to accomplish. And as you can see, there's another one of those little coffers over there for your clay scarabs and such, if you're after those. Now this boss, Princess Hurahan, she drops a really cool bow for hunters. So if you're a hunter, this probably would be the boss you're in here after. I think she might actually be tameable too if you're a beast mastery hunter. And unfortunately, no bow. Now these are also the bindings that you will need for your class specific tier pieces and such, and I think there's some weapons in here. This was one of the places. There used to be a legendary staff that you could craft and make that you needed to come through Ahn'Qiraj to make. Not too many people went after it though. It wasn't, I heard from what I remember, it wasn't really good, and not, at least not compared to other legendary weapons and such, so most people just didn't care, simply because of the effort that was required to be put into actually obtaining it. And with that boss, again, nothing really mechanically wise that requires any kind of challenge, just straightforward. Blow them up. Now we are on our way to probably the most challenging boss in this place. You gotta have a pretty substantial DPS just to push through it. They used to be the one boss really that wasn't soloable in here, but recently Blizzard fixed it to where you were able to do it, and again, just with DPS being so high now, it's not really a problem. They're called the Twin Emperors. They have what most warriors or two-handed weapon wielders come in here for, and that is, pull it up here, Kalimdor's Revenge. Is one of the most amazing looking sword models in the game. I think just looks absolutely epic. The two emperors here do actually have a shared health pool, so with some nice bursts, and again just with Bladestorm as a warrior, shouldn't be too hard at all. Once you start to fight, the other one will run over. Now the reason this is kind of a challenge is simply because the one emperor over there, the one we are not attacking, does heal. So if you can burst him down before the heals start coming in, you're usually pretty good. You will have the ads to deal with. The ads will kind of still spawn on you. Again, just keep the AoE coming and you should be alright. See if we got anything good. Cool little plate belt. Now I believe with these emperors, each of them actually drops their own individual loot, so don't forget to check both of them. I never quite figured that out. Maybe someone can confirm or deny in the comment section on if this is the case, about whether they have their own loot table. I know they have a shared health pool, and so if you kill one, you kill the other one. But I feel like there's been times I've come in here and I've been able to pick up loot from one that I didn't see on the other one, and I don't know. It was strange. But whatever it is, they can be a pain in the butt. Now we are continuing to move through. We're getting closer to the end now. This is actually probably the hardest and most frustrating section of the raid here for vanilla raiders back in the day. Once you got to those bosses and then just pushing through. Most anybody that was raiding in vanilla has horror stories and nightmares about Cthulhu trash. This trash was some of the hardest in the game to clear. It was a big pain in the butt. It would take some raids all night to clear it. They would just spend the night just clearing trash to set themselves up for their actual raid night when they would actually come in to do the raid, so they'd have to sit there and mess around with the trash all night. It's just a pain in the butt. Kind of your fun fact about Ahn'Qiraj is, I don't know if it's really fun, and it's not as much as it's really just depressing, but actually when this was originally released as the raid to hit, not a single guild or raid group cleared it before they had to bring in the nerf. Originally when this place was released, it was actually way too hard and they had to nerf it once before anybody could clear it, which is just mind-boggling to me. Now in these trash here, what you're gonna see a lot of, oh, where'd they go? The Kiraji Mind Slayer. Those guys, if you're gonna attack these mobs, it's probably better just to hit them first, because they do have that mind control mechanic that you see me running around like a madman, getting feared away from mobs. And now the reason it's kind of useful to kill the trash mobs in here is, again, if you're after those mounts. But if you're gonna twink out a character, it's kind of fun. There's a really fun trinket that drops in here for like a fire mage or a warlock. As you can see, it's got like a less than a % drop chance. I have yet to actually see it ever drop. But if I ever twink out a caster, like a fire caster, like a fire mage or a warlock, I might come in here and have someone run me through it. But it has an on-use effect where you can call down a meteor and it just does an AoE effect for 442 total fire damage or so. It's pretty cool. I've seen some. I've had some friends and I've seen some people use it as a twink item, and they have some pretty good fun with it. Especially because there's really not too many other trinkets to really use at level 60. So if you're gonna use a trinket, why not get a fun one? Now there is one more optional boss here in Ahn'Qiraj, and that is this large worm over here in this room. Goes by the name of Uro, and he actually is required for your staff quest, as well as he does contain, or he drops part of the drops you'll need for the rest of your tier set. So if you're after that, he's not really so optional, but you can skip him if you're not really after anything else, I believe. If you're just here to kill Cthulhu, you don't need to kill him to kill Cthulhu. But as you can see, he's just massive. And again, as long as you have pretty high DPS, you should be fine. Nothing to really worry about. If your DPS is a little bit lower and it takes a while to kill him, he will burrow underground and then he comes back up, and you gotta fight him again or things like that. But he doesn't recover health or anything, so it just takes a little bit longer. But other than that, again, pretty straightforward. Nothing too much to worry about. So now we are making the long trek up to Cthulhu. Lots of walking in circles. With Cthulhu, he used to not be soloable because of a mechanic. He had a little mind control mechanic, or you had to like port in. You'd like go inside of him, and you'd have to kill these two things, and then he'd port you out. And the problem would be that once you ported inside, there was nobody outside to hold down the fight or hold aggro, and so he would reset. And that was a problem in here in Mist of Pandaria. Blizzard came through and patched it up a bunch and changed the mechanics to where they were soloable, so which is kind of cool. So now here, what you're going to see up here real quick before we head into Cthulhu is the quest for staves and maces. So if you like any of the way these look, this is where you're going to pick those up. You also have a chance to pick up some cool axes, muskets, and a dagger, a shield as well, kind of cool. And then there really isn't too much over here. Just give you But these three guys over here just around the corner from the entrance to where you would go fight Cthulhu. So here he is, the big eye himself. Now, as soon as you walk in the room, the combat does start, so do keep that in mind. You do see a lot of knockbacks, a lot of different mechanics at that in here. If you bust through his 1.3 million health, he goes into phase 2. You'll see him pop up, kind of show his true colors, his true form. He is an ugly bugger. And then as you can see, he hardly takes any damage as we move towards the big mechanic here in phase 2. And as you can see, he ports you in. Here you find yourself inside of his brain, I suppose. All you have to do is just kill these 2 mobs. And then step right here in the center and it jumps you right back out. And then you are good to go. Don't need to worry about the trash, don't need to worry about the tentacles, just focus on him and nothing to worry about. And here he drops the the husks that you need, the carpus and the husk that you'll need for the last of your tier quests, and he does drop an item as well, which gives you a quest very similar to like the head of Ahn'Qiraj or the head of Nefarian that you would get from those raids, and then you would do all that. So yeah, this has been Let's Explore Ahn'Qiraj. It's pretty straightforward. Again, nothing too mechanically challenging, especially after some of the patches that Blizzard has put in. That would really prevent anybody from soloing this. Especially as a 90, whether you're fresh geared, fresh boost, fresh geared, fully geared, doesn't really matter. It's all very, very doable. If you have any questions, if I missed anything, if you want something explained a little bit more, please feel free to leave it in the comment section. I would love to be as much help as I can. Other than that, I think next one we'll conquer will be Blackwing Lair. We're going to do Blackwing Lair. Probably should have done Blackwing Lair next, but I kind of wanted to save it till a little bit later because I really like Blackwing Lair a lot. It's probably my favorite raid in all of WoW. At least definitely my favorite raid from Classic WoW. Blackwing Lair definitely is one of the raids that still give people some trouble soloing just because of mechanics. And so we'll go ahead and tackle that one next. Other than that, again, please leave a like, a comment, a favorite if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for continued content, PvP content, old raid content, possibly some other just gaming in general content soon, hopefully. And don't forget to share. Sharing always helps. Let's see if we can grow this into something that is kind of a fun little community to hang out and maybe just enjoy this game that we've all come to know and love so much. Alright, again, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time.